I haven't seen huge move from the South Korea government these several months, and since the presidential election last year till now, after President Yoon has been elected, he has been emphasizing that he'll strengthen the ties with the United States, and also President Yoon want to build up a relation based on principles and mutual respect with China, instead of making much concessions and always concerning or even avoid of irritating China like former President Moon Jae-in did. So until now, this stance or position is still the same. South Korea has already shifted to the United States after President Yoon takes power. Nothing different. So I would rather say the more close South Korea shifts to the United States, the more threats and tensions North Korea will impose, unless the United States and North Korea build up mutual trust. And on the other hand, though getting more close to the United States, South Korea still hasn't given up the idea of convincing China to push North Korea returning to dialogue.
With the new space unit between South Korean forces and the US, this includes capabilities of monitoring Chinese missile activity. Do you feel the Yoon administration is preparing for potential repercussions from China?
The South Korea government is still maintaining a stance or an attitude not to trigger China's anger, and it is because China is still China is still South Korea's biggest economic partner, charging around 25% on South Korea's import and export. And especially, I need to mention many raw materials which used by South Korea producing automobiles and semiconductors are from China, with many of the items charging over 90%. That means South Korea's economy is relying on China a lot, which the current conservative Yoon Suk-yeol government are not able to ignore unless he successfully reduces the economy rely. So even President Yoon, who used to criticize the former Moon Jae-in regime for being too friendly or too pro-China, even mentioning that most of the people, especially the young generation in South Korea, hate China. After he's been elected, his government is now very cautious on China.
Given the economic reliance Korea has on China, as you mentioned, do you feel South Korea could in any way increase its role in maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait?
Extremely difficult. The first reason will be the economic rely toward China, this I just mentioned. And the second reason is that this is still President Yoon's beginning. No matter President Yoon dislikes China, no matter how China feels unsafe and keeps on his toes when seeing South Korea now switching more to the United States, since it's President Yoon's first year in office, I think both President Xi Jinping and President Yoon Suk-yeol will spend at least 1 year to find out if they can improve the mutual relation. Maybe not as good as before the 2015, but at least in some extent. Think about it. If now China takes an aggressive attitude or impress more revenges or sanctions on South Korea, he will immediately make South Korea switch to the United States and Japan more, which is totally not good for Beijing himself. So it will be extremely difficult to see South Korea actively help maintain the peace in the Taiwan Strait. And indeed, over the past months, I've directly asked several Yoon's officials, including the foreign minister, what is the attitude of South Korea about the Taiwan Strait issue, and which position will South Korea choose if China invades Taiwan? They all rejected to answer me directly, only saying that in the very genetic level that South Korea cares about the safety and the peace of Taiwan Strait the most. But I think comparing to the former Moon Jae-in regime, President Yoon seems to show more interest in Taiwan. And as I know, as my resources told me, there was a secret visiting and a meeting between South Korean and Taiwanese officials in Seoul around November last year. And I think not only the unofficial ones, but also this kind of non-public meeting and interactions between the two countries might be held more frequently than the former regime.